was in power for more years compared to the UPND, for a longer period of time, rather.
What do you mean? What do you mean for a longer period of time?
10 years, UPND has just been in power for like 4 years.
Yes, but things are only getting worse. They're supposed to be improving. Why were things better under PF and worse with them when they're supposed to make it better than under PF? See, the progression was that their coming in was suggesting that they had better ideas as to how to manage the economy. We believe that this economist, when he takes hold of the reins of power, is going to do abracadabra with his economic degree, and we were going to have a better standard of life. What has happened is exactly the opposite, and we say, okay, you may have gotten this paper. Perhaps you're not qualified to run the economy. Perhaps the economy of Zambia is not a company. You don't deal with the country as though it's a private company where you think you can call all the shots and you're in control of all the variables. If you have now come to a realization that it's not a company and you have failed to run it, perhaps you should move back. Move aside and let people that understand the economic variables, what matters to the people of Zambia. Because it is not, running a country is not like running a profit-making organization. It is not. It is not.
Shouldn't you be offering solutions?
Oh, and
you
of
feel
course,
like the president has failed. But maybe before you respond to that, just a reminder to our listeners that we have opened our lines, and to interact with our guest this morning, you can call 0966 992770 and 0977 977860. We have a caller on the line. Good morning, you're through to Talk of the City. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Mr. Ngosa, you can go ahead.
good morning, Mr. Ngosa. How are you?
Yes, I'm just wondering here, the way you are speaking as if there is something that you did at here, anything that was exactly the answer. For you to go for UPND, put your attention to the community and the happy and the never move up.
Mr. Ngosa, wind up with your comment.
Yes, I'm winding up. You remember Parliament for Malambo? People Malambo voted you out because you failed their constituents. Now, how can you be talking about the whole country when you failed your own constituency? Sure.
Thank you so much for your contribution. The number you're calling this morning to interact with my guests is 0966 992770 and 0977 977860. Please do make sure to accommodate whatever you have to say within a minute or less in order to give an opportunity to other people. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from? Mr. Hambwiza, you can go ahead.
Yes.
Talk about overflow. I'm saying that in front of our interviewer there, if the government claiming the overflow, because your friend is one of those that are cases. We look at the way they are very cases that affect in cases that affect anyone who's affiliated with PF. For example, the issue of Honorable Justice Super, they bought his vehicle, which is not from Parliament, is that to go. For example, the issue of return of appeal, is that was postponed, you were very prison before being taken to court, and you have been kept there, and the case was not being postponed. It was so low. We have not known people that are under Makebi Zulu in terms of being crime.
Please wind up with your contribution, sir.
And that's what we call the work. We know people that have been taken to police cells and should be giving them police force. We can't follow. Thank you.
All right, 0977-977860 and 0966-992770 are the numbers you're calling to interact with my guest this morning, Honorable Makebi Zulu. You can also send a voice note to our WhatsApp number 0977-977860. That is 0977-977860. Honorable, as we are waiting for more calls, maybe you can respond to those two.
Okay, let me respond to Mr. Ngosa. He asked very interesting questions. Mr. Ngosa, the road you drive on when you're coming to Lusaka from Mumbwa, PF constructed that road. You asked me to give you one example, and I have given you one example. And you also say, well, you failed in Malambo, that's possibly why the people voted for you. You see, people will always vote for someone who tells them something that they think they want to hear. And I will tell you that before I went into Malambo, there was no district hospital. There's a district hospital now, which was constructed by the PF. The Msoro area had no hospital. There's a hospital now. We built secondary schools in there. If you compare what was done by the PF and what the UPND has done, the UPND has done zero. It's just like the comparison between what President Edgar Lungu did and he lost the election and what compared to what President Hakainde Hichilema is expected to have done. He's done nothing. And people are saying that President Edgar Lungu was far much better than President Hakainde Hichilema in all areas, in terms of running the economy, agricultural sector, education. PF was by far better than the UPND.
Okay, there was also...
Isia was better than President HH. Everybody knows that.
Okay, there was also, I think, a contribution that came in from Mr. Habwezia.
Mr. Habwezia is asking about the application of the rule of law and is giving and citing examples of where the rule of law has not been applied. And that is exactly what we're talking about. I'm glad Mr. Habwezia has been following what has been happening in this country without the lenses of a political party and seeing that things are not happening the way they ought to happen. Rizwan Patel, look at what happened to that gentleman, where he was taken to Lilai, taken from police cells. If you go to Lilai police, look at their occurrence book. It will show that around 23 hours, the police went and took him out of the police. One of the police officers, Stephen Chipungu, the one you saw with a gun the other time handcuffing that gentleman who's said to have defamed the kiddist, yes, that same gentleman, they went at about 23, got him out of the police cells, took him somewhere in Lilai, fired a shot over his head. The boy was traumatized. They took him to Central Police at Lusaka Central Police at the place where they call Scorpion somewhere there. They beat him up. Visible scars and bruises. The pictures are there to be seen. And all these matters are being pursued, hoping that we could get some justice for him. But instead, what are we seeing? We're seeing the UPND getting consent judgments for people that were never prosecuted, people whose cases no less were entered. We have people like Tayari being awarded for matters where they were not prosecuted. A whole minister is being awarded by way of a consent for a matter in which he was never prosecuted. And you say they are angels when you are seeing that even those that got you can trace that this vehicle was gotten from the National Assembly. It's the government that paid for this vehicle. You show up and say this is proceeds of crime. Who stole? The government? National Assembly stole? You have all those things that need to be looked at and relooked at, and you wonder what is going on in the minds of these guys that are there. Is the idea about getting rid of the opposition so that they can perpetuate their stay? You only perpetuate your stay in government by responding to the aspirations of the people, not shutting up dissenting voices, not taking people like Nawakwi to court for saying the truth. You don't do that. 0966992770 0977977860. You are through to Talk of the City. Good morning. Tauka Bwino Mwaka Bwanje. Tauka mwaka bwanje. Zikomo.
Mba kwino maenzi Batman, ikambele mponi, maputo ya government. Bose wakuno kipingira mpambo damu kwa wasifamu. Waona ya mayuti kukirekelea mani. Sinawa nita kutara wandukoto hapa mpasio. Manyo nani maputo. Makebi Zulu suwa uleunda wao katilezi. Tuo neka mkombo ni kulize. Mkara eka. Malaisi wazipezi. Kitangu wakuja katape. Tetua masafi ziangarengio yako. Mune marungu tezokea salitembe. Oza bwena kumue wa Makebi Zulu sipa mbuyo pano. Kamu 2026 wasikiwa totako. Kare manjara. Kayonda mkabula mkombo wa nunakibele sikungu. Sikuti kawa Makebi Zulu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramake Angela, for your contribution. You are through to Talk of the City. Good morning. 0966-992770. You are through to Talk of the City. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Your name and where you're calling from?
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Francis.
Pawe madaka mjani. Tawama.
So we give a nice and cosmetic promises from our president. It's very sad. Anyone who speaks the truth becomes the enemy of our government today. It's very sad. Out of all the promises, I think allow me to touch one or two things. Okay? Our government today heavily expenditure. Okay? We have the mineral collection, the money spent. Okay, very quickly, change of current, government is spending. Quickly now is what we call constitutional amendment. All these are all experts of the cost of living. I'm not going to my sisters, right? We are trying to the entire country. Surely, we are here at the police. You compound here where we are, we depend on power.
Please wind up with your contribution, Mr. Daka.
Allow me to wind up in such a manner. What is your comment, Honorable, over the crisis to which the entire country is complaining? We are here in the country. It has got enough power, which is telling our neighbors in the country, forgetting the people who voted for the government. Thank you so much for your
All right, let's see if we can allow 2 more calls before our guest responds. You're through to Talk of the City. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Tendele mulija ya kufika ya kaya. Uyu mundu atamufotera, andatika kwa voti yangu. Uyu pamena tamba tudachitika. But maboda, malaiki dilipe na machito apasirikale manje ya so. Anakapa kudubai munaye kwa hakuna mvula. Malaiki anakapa 24/7 na watu. But bote msinaoneo. Unga kuna kumpendele histi ngatuwa kwela wazendenye. Paka kumenyana. So economy siri kwino. Awa wantu wachokepo chape. Mungu naye nao kati. Ngarampo nituone maweza tuendela. Bati bakangiratu.
All right, wind up. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can accommodate just one more call, and then we take the voice note, then we allow our guests to respond this morning. 0966-992770 and 0977-977860. That is 0977-977860 and 0966-992770. You are through to Talk of the City. Good morning. Good, thank you. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, Wasoko.
Iyo. Mtokana na mtu nani, kuli mtu Tinango banana camp, nothing guy, with the rapa, hit the water, Catare and Rambo Rapa, smarter than hit the water. You must put the jumping a nigga and another commission. He says in my palace, nothing about to walk against the water, is a one is a one. But another force, another material. So those are another you know the letters happening. But the corruption is 80% of the corruption line, corruption. All the events are happening. I can't take it. I don't commit how to I can't go to from 3 years. The state office is we can innovate. So there's nothing and drama that is a so our water no, don't even allow it to go in.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Honorable, you can respond to those contributions that have come through with majority bordering on the cost of living.
Exactly, and that is the real issue. If no one is telling President Hakainde Hichilema the truth is that people out there are struggling to make ends meet. Amake Angela, Pepani, I agree with you, the cost of living is indeed high. And the truth is, we have a liar for a president. He is a liar. As the same way Francis observed, the same way Oscar observed, the same way Soko observed. A liar is someone who says one thing and does the opposite, contrary to what they have said. And examples are replete. As regards this issue of power, which have been specifically asked, he indeed is the one who says there's no drop of rain in Dubai, and yet they don't have load shedding. So in this country, we have rains. Even the little rain that we have, we should be able to have power. That's what he said. Has he lived up to that expectation? The comments that he showed, even when you go to his page right now, as regards the issue of power, he complained on behalf of the marketeers, the welders, over the 4 hours of load shedding that they were having. And now we are being subjected to 20 hours of load shedding, 21 hours of load shedding, perhaps even over a day of load shedding. Has he forgotten that there is someone who's running a barber shop somewhere? Has he forgotten that we've got welders somewhere? Has he forgotten that we have women in salons somewhere? Has he forgotten that there are women that are supposed to be making fritters somewhere out there? And the cost of charcoal has gone up. Just the cost of energy has gone up. All those issues are issues that have to be addressed. Politics is about bread and butter. That's why this issue of constitutional amendment, how is it going to make the lives of people there better? How is it going to ensure that electricity is available to them? There's nothing that they've suggested that suggests that the lives of our people is going to be improved. So let's concentrate on what is important. How are we going to feed that Zambian who's struggling out there? Those are the things that we ought to be looking at. Soko thinks, I agree with you. Boza Chira Mongako, a president in Wawenye. And obviously we have to do something about that, and that is that in 2026, we must show him the door. That what we put him there for is what he said he would do. Now that he has not done it, he's no longer qualified to hold that position, and he should vacate it. 2026 will be the appropriate time to show him the door.
Let's see if at this point we can also just take a listen to the voice notes that have come through, and then you can respond to them thereafter.
Good morning, Honorable. This is Kevin Chilongo from Wamba Bridge. My question is, what happens to the seat which was declared vacant if Honorable Munia Zulu has been granted bail? What will happen when the speaker already declared it vacant? So what will happen? Thank you.
Mwashukeni wa Makebi. Abenda Lusaka leo kuionea shitiku awe umuteko huu wansana ukubwa tukanye bande tukuteko wansana umuto bari ngiye kuyo kwate ko tushikana Amapromise bapromise yapalochowa ichara chino. Free education. That is section varandeyo inkongole kwate inkongole. Ubuteko wabo abantu abanye nokuno ubupira online olubuteko luke 6 o'clock
kuposhani Makebi Mauka amatareta watu mauka awe program yo ningera mamene bakambira abantu aba president watu abantu bawe ni batoza baeche bafuni kuenda mu 2026 sitibafuna n'abantu babo chanele chibali samutima ngati ukomplena nishiwo oyibayiwe ukomplena chani mukala bwino tingale kuno chani mumanyumba mutivutika na njala mumanyumba nelikala kutendere nona mwamene bavutika abantu isetili na mashoku mwamene tuizo kusebenzera pana manja hapa awe msekreshe ndalama kulibe bani bavutika chena njala bantu ba HH 2026 zika mulonge muyende munatikanira kugera mu State House takupasani nyumba ze Zambia nizimwachikanira ba mdala 2026 nzikuenda ba HH
All right, Honorable, you can respond to those voice notes with a question regarding the Lumezi incident.
Yes, I agree with those sentiments that indeed the cost of living has gone up. And what's much more of concern is that people are, despite the lies that we're being told, no one has gone back to them and said, okay, listen, we did not know that it is difficult to run government. Maybe we are trying out this other formula. No one has ever gone back to the people to explain to them. But as long as he doesn't do that, he will continue being referred to as a liar, and the liar who he exactly is. Kelvin from Mwango asked a very important question. See, the Parliament has got procedures as to how they do things. And as regards those procedures, there are rules and conventions that have been developed over time. And in developing these conventions over time, you will find that issues of a member of parliament being convicted, no seat has ever been vacated or declared vacant where a member of parliament has been convicted before the period that is allocated for appeal is granted. That has never been done. But to put this in context and possibly an explanation as to why things may have happened this way, remember one of the UPNG cadres before the abduction of JJ was there, posted a comment to say, we are going to Petaoke. Next, it's going to be Lumezi. Now, I've been sitting and thinking, was this in the grand scheme of things, that things should go in this manner? Perhaps Nelly Moti should have waited for the period in which Munia has to appeal. And it should be very clear that there is no hope that he will either appeal or indeed the determination is by a court where there is no appeal. But this was in the subordinate court. He has been given a year. He is not satisfied with the outcome of that, and he has appealed that particular sentence and conviction. He will be applying for bail. Now, I do not want to think that this trend, or at least it will be cemented by this, if he is denied bail, then it will be a trend that has been fixed to say no politician should be granted bail upon conviction. Then they will have set that in stone. But what happened to Munia and the swiftness that the speaker moved to declare the seat vacant shows that indeed it was their intention that it should be declared vacant for purposes of stifling dissenting voices. Munia Zulu never minced his words. If something was being done that goes against the people of Zambia, he spoke against it. How many times has he been punished in the National Assembly for speaking for and on behalf of the people? You know, parliament comes from the root word parler, to speak. We go to parliament to speak. You can't ostracize or punish any person for speaking in the National Assembly. More so, a person that speaks within the precincts of the National Assembly, that should not be a person that should be punished for speaking in the precincts of the National Assembly. The reason there is immunity for a person who speaks at the National Assembly is because a member of parliament must be free to express themselves. They must be free to express themselves, and there was a realization, the reason there's immunity within the precincts of National Assembly is because they realized that there's a chance that one could have wrong information, but it should be spoken anyways for it to be clarified by the government. If one asks a question based on information that they believe to be true and is actually wrong, it is the executive that should come to parliament and correct that particular position. If you do not give members of parliament immunity to speak within the precincts of parliament, it will mean that every member of parliament will be prosecuted for saying something that may not be true, or saying something that they reasonably believed to be true, relied on that information and expressed their opinion. Now, what we are seeing is a situation where people will be afraid to speak now. I will not be surprised if the next target is Binwa Mpundu, because all the vocal MPs have been targeted. Look at the issue of JJ. JJ, over a matter that was prosecuted, convicted, and paid, they came up with that issue again and took it back to court. A person that has already been convicted, a person that has already been tried, being tried for the second time, and you tell me this government follows the rule of law. Now the one whose life is in danger and whose seat is in danger is Mao Sampa. Mao Sampa has now fallen out with the UPND, and now there are all these attempts to arrest him, all these threats for his arrest, T-shirts being printed for protests against him, accusing him of murder of some person somewhere. I will not be surprised if the next person in the next few days that is being arrested is Mao Sampa. I pray they don't do that. They can't stifle dissent. They can't stifle members of parliament for speaking for and on behalf of the Zambians. You can't have a country where everyone is singing one song. It's a democracy for a reason. A democracy is a marketplace of ideas. Some ideas you may not even like them. Some ideas may not even be actualizable. Some ideas can be mere dreams on the part of a person. Just like we voted for dreams of President Hakainde Hichilema, which are not coming to fruition until even to this day. We know that the idea that we voted for has not worked. Let's try another idea. Same as parliament. People go there with ideas. They speak their minds. We should not punish them for expressing themselves the way Munia has been punished for expressing himself.
Oh, thank you. When we think about some of the cases that you've made reference to, probably some involving Honorable JJ Banda,
yes,
that was successfully dealt with,
yes,
in the past and then reopened. So having a situation where cases that we dealt with are being reopened, how is this reflecting on the judiciary?
Now, it is starting with the president. Remember over the JJ Banda matter, the president, the whole president of the Republic of Zambia, at a press briefing, makes reference to small JJ, makes reference to a case of JJ and says, we have to reopen that case. The whole president making such a statement? Now, if you have a president who's going to make such a statement, and the judiciary that's not so strong, and members of the judiciary that are so afraid of the executive, do you expect it to go any other way? Do you expect it to go any other way? The problem that we have over the JJ matter started with the sentiments that were expressed by the president. You know, when they say when you're a king, you should not speak out of anger, because all those around you would take that as an instruction. And in this particular case, the very thing that JJ is going through right now, the genesis of it was statements by the president, acted upon by his cadres. You remember that after the president said whatever he said, his cadres were busy saying, JJ, you are next, be careful. All those issues. We are coming to Lusaka. If Lusaka people are failed, we are coming to Lusaka. We'll deal with JJ and we'll do with Edgar Chagwalungu. Those were things that were being said and allowed to happen. Anything that happened, therefore, has a blessing of President Hakainde Hichilema. It had his blessing. JJ should not have been taken back to court over a matter that was already closed. That boy was brought back to come and complain. He was followed. There are people who were in Vubwi. I was minister in Vubwi the time those things happened and the time he was prosecuted. I know the story back to back. I have the record of what happened because now JJ is a client in that particular matter. I have the full record of what exactly happened, how that was fined in that matter. You can't then say, okay, this matter, yes, it was dealt with by the subordinate court, now we're going to give you another charge. You are the ones who chose to give a lesser charge. Why should you want to pursue him on a higher charge when he already has a conviction? Things don't work that way. We can't pursue individuals out of hate like that. The president has to calm down. He should not express hate for an individual. He's a leader. He's attained the highest position in this country. There's nothing more to aspire unless he wants to be God, which he can never be. Rule the country based on what you promised and deliver. Don't punish dissenting voices.
Can you say there is a separation of power between the three arms of government, and particularly between the executive and the judiciary?
I would say that there's now blurred lines that are leading to there being no separation of powers. Look, the president comes and says, we are going to set up a court that deals with economic and financial crimes, targeting certain, we know that this court is targeting certain individuals. And the next thing, the judiciary follows suit. That court is created. Then he says, we are going to be trying them in 5 months. Who's we? Who's we? Why should the president be the one to talk about that? Can't you let the judiciary exercise their functions independently? The moment they came in, all those judges that were transferred, magistrates that were transferred, about 17 magistrates were transferred, and certain people were brought in, other magistrates were brought in. Wouldn't one think that, okay, these ones perhaps have been brought to achieve a particular purpose? We had those 3 judges that were fired. Fired in the middle of a case that he himself, President Hakainde Hichilema, had an interest in. The fastest case ever dealt with in the history of disciplining of judges in this country. He takes up that and they're all gone. He goes to Livingston during an address to the judges and he says, if you want your conditions of service to be improved, these are the people that have your money. Let's recover, then we'll improve your conditions of service. If I'm a magistrate, I'm a judge, and I'm trying someone who's suspected to have proceeds of crime, do you think I'll exercise my independence and say this person is innocent? When in what they have, the property they have, I'm thinking, okay, if I convict this person, that property is sold, my conditions of service are going to be improved. Should the president be that reckless with his words and in his approach to governance? Nelly Muti, on the other side, National Assembly, you can't say there's a separation of power. There's the handwriting of President Hakainde Hichilema everywhere, in the judiciary, as I have shown to you, and now in the National Assembly, as I have shown. Because he is interested. He wanted JJ out, JJ is out now. Those that he doesn't want, he makes sure they're out. Now he wants the Constitution. The same person who was saying that PF was corrupt, PF was this, goes to Chipata. Chawinga is announcing, now we are in a this is very funny. President Hakainde Hichilema at the Nchwala ceremony when Chavinga announced that he is in an alliance with the UPND, what I would have expected President Hakainde Hichilema is saying, no, 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 you are PF. You were corrupt. I can't be in an alliance with the PF. But he graciously accepted the offer from Chavinga to be in an alliance, meaning that he has no difficulties with the Patriotic Front. All this is individual hate for individuals. Why would a person who all his life has criticized the Patriotic Front for being corrupt accept an offer from Chavinga to be in an alliance with the Patriotic Front? Did that make sense at all? Or the plot was to ensure that he obliterates the Patriotic Front, the real Patriotic Front, so that he stands unopposed, because he has failed to run the economy, he has failed to run the country, he has failed to lower the cost of living. And now the opposition that President Hakainde Hichilema has, is not PF, it's not Tonse Alliance, it's the people of Zambia. These callers that have been calling hold no position in any political party. And they're saying, listen, I voted for this man based on what he said. But nothing that he said has affected my life in any way. He's a liar. And I agree with them, he's a liar. And should we maintain a liar in power? Certainly not.
Does the Chief Justice have a role to play in ensuring that the judiciary operates independently?
See, the Chief Justice has a big role to ensure that the judiciary operates independently. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I do not agree with the manner in which the Chief Justice has been running the judiciary, because he has not shown that he is his own person. He has not shown that the judiciary should be independent as the Constitution guarantees. He should have been able to stand up to protect the interests of the judiciary. He should not participate in an issue that certainly is targeting certain individuals. He should have stood up for his judges. He should have stood up for procedures that ensure that the office of the judge is protected, not the manner in which judges are being punished. Judges have been fired in this government more than any other time from independence till now. Combined, more judges have been fired under President Hakainde Hichilema. To what extent? For what purpose? We can only sit back and wonder. But as time goes, it is becoming much more clearer as to why that has been happening. And we, the people of Zambia, should be the best judges of that. We brought this on ourselves, and we can sort it out ourselves.
What is your take on calls that probably judges, for example, in the High Court, the Supreme Court, and also in key positions like, not judges, but positions like those of the Inspector General, should be appointed independently, away from the President?
That would be an ideal situation that would perhaps ensure that there is independence, proper independence in the meaning of the word. That would be. And perhaps if they could be considering amendments that go to protect the institutions, amendments, not amendments that go to ensure that he has power to invade much more in the independence of these institutions. Maybe, just maybe, we could come up with what we may say non-contentious issues. But you know, the folly of it all is that he wants to consolidate power to himself. And you have all these proposed amendments that only achieve the purpose of consolidating power, or indeed perpetuating one's stay in power, or indeed granting oneself much more power. Why would you want to have power to nominate more members of parliament? What is the essence? What has broken down in the current system? You don't do that. So all these issues bordering on institutional integrity have to be considered. We should not depend on the goodwill of a person, but we should follow the law as we have given ourselves. Ordinarily, President Hakainde should not be interfering in the operations of the police. He should not be interfering in the operations of the Drug Enforcement Commission, or indeed the Anti-Corruption Commission. He should not be. But what did he do? The moment he comes in, he puts them under his office, meaning that everything that they do for and on his behalf. He's a direct supervisor. He can't even detach himself from whatever wrongs that they were doing. So the wrongs that the police are doing, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the very fact that we are not seeing any members of his cabinet being punished. He is the one who sits back and complains. This one was having a meeting with that one that day. This one got money from that other person that day. But you see what my ministers are doing. Don't just complain. Let the investigative wings take charge. In fact, you have put yourself in charge of those investigative wings. Why don't you tell them to investigate them? You chose to put them under your control. And now you are lamenting about the corruption of your own ministers, the corruption of your own government. You can't lament about that. When the Zamsa issue came out, it says, now we are happy. People have been exposed as to what exactly they do. Heads will roll. Has any head rolled? Not even a finger, not even a toenail. Nothing has happened.
0966 992770 0977 977860. Good morning. You are through to Talk of the City. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello, good morning. Yes, we can get you. You can go ahead, Mr. Puri, with your question or contribution.
Now, come on, tell me.
And this government, they will remember the terrible truth about the truth. One day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see if we can accommodate more calls this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Morning, sir, your name and where you're calling from.
Now, catch my Maupatian.
This is Mr. Constitution Paria Constitution So, the president was very high money constitution, which means the behind something constitution Pari jadai miamini mezeli opposition yamini mana winilamu but apamate baiti jamaa zambatia iliyoipa why iliyoipa luko batani mutikambileko kuli wa president why mutikonseleko why bakambati bafunusa ipawa mayuti muli constitution baitipo mayuti na madisebodi na mawimeni Bali issue la gari Congo. Batakora wakangi wacha point disable oro yuti oro ndani ya yese. Batakanga wacha ipawa. Then bali ya huyu wakurumezi ndani watu huyu baromesa. Bataka president after abukoje babula ndani Afrika ngarawani please.
Mr. Shimwene, please wind up with your contribution, sir.
Contribution yangu why is
Okay. Thank you so much for your contribution. 0966 992770 and 097797. Good morning. You're through to Talk of the City. Fine, thank you. How are you, sir?
Marambo is Peter we were another parliament from Marambo there, and now we get the current one to Peter from Lupian. So, from his side, you know, The former rules that anything that can come back to power. When the European won by 2.8 million people, and 1 million rejected the ticket. Today the climate comes back. But even if you come for a strong alliance and the come, you think will be involved in the people of Zambia without the alliance.
Please wind up, wind up.
Yeah, listen, mommy. Let's run together. The only issue when it's what is supposed to be a broken economy,
thank you so much for your contribution. Much appreciated. 0966 992 and 0977 977860. You are through to Talk of the City. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Kaunda, your name, Nakwem Tumila.
Naoka Bwanja.
Tukukate, una master president wa anaitwa na mabote na show. Hiyo ni wapi pamagaja na nakachinda na rubita. Mwili ila imwe. Wana ile kogara bana kwenda ziko yote sana ile ukapa. Wa president watu wote kuna mwanamko shikata. Ni mama kimando bi kimagata. Big mama mama. Sumi watu. Mwanamko shikata ile kwenda. Kuliko mtu wa operation bana hivi yote. Mimi nakuudira watu. Unapenyewa kule mwanuri mpaka ili kama minister for Eastern Province. Ili ndio kudanda ora bilani japi dawa captain na kwa mnakuwa mali ndio kwa matv posti ni sasa mbomo kutisa huko ukapata.
Dr. Proud, wind up with your contribution. All right, thank you so much for your contribution. 0977 9777860. You're through to Talk of the City. Good morning. We know Nivanantulanda Navena. Okay, Mr. Bwale, go ahead.
Empire Bwale Munshan.
My one is, are you comfortable with the appointment of don't make a name again. Our position will be because that is pure UPN. I'm not going to show you exactly your I don't think you are comfortable. Now, without my election, sit down and eat up. The constitution is amazing. The power in the Shira of Makana, but President, what they buy, but they go ahead.
Please wind up with your contribution, Mr. Walia. Okay, thank you so much. Honorable, you can respond to those sentiments that have come through.
Okay, I'll start with Mr. Walia. Mr. Walia, you're very right when you raise concern as regards the Electoral Commission of Zambia. The Electoral Commission of Zambia is not what we had envisaged it would be, because it's replete with persons that are affiliated to the ruling party. And you have Mangala Zalomes heading it. And she's on record not so long ago when an issue of corruption in the Petauke seat was asked to her. She says, well, both parties were party to it. How can she condone an election to go on in that manner? Meaning that she was saying that this election was not a free and fair election. That is the head of ECZ who is telling you that, and saying that she will not do anything provided that more than one party is engaging in illegal activities. That, for me, says that she's incompetent to run that institution, because that institution is supposed to ensure that all parties that are participating are obeying the code of conduct, are doing so in line with the rules that have been provided in terms of how an election should be conducted. She has condoned an election that is not free and fair and sat back and said everyone is doing it. That should not be the case. That's incompetence of the highest order and should not be allowed. You have a person like McDonald Chipenzi, who we know is an affiliate of the UPND, being part of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. You can't abuse your power to say, because there's nothing you can do about it, I will put my kith and kin in this particular position and you will not do anything about it. That should not be the case. That taints the democratic process that we ordinarily should be having. What we have lacked more than anything is a patriot. What we need is patriots who will put the country first and not personal interests first. You can't put people in positions to serve your interests at the expense of the nation. The lamentation of this person is saying, listen, is my vote going to count? If I'm going to vote and we have those cadres at ECZ, is my vote going to count? How are we going to ensure that that vote counts? Because they should not only be impartial, they should be seen to be impartial in the conduct of their business. And being seen to be impartial means that elements like Chipenzi and Zalomis should not be there. Let's give it some semblance of independence. Let's give it some semblance of independence. That is very important. You see, listening to Proud speak, he always has the same things that he says. And he says, Mulungushi, Vazasegula, each market, Vazasegula. Nothing has been done. You're still being futuristic in your approach to things. We're saying, what is it that he said? He said the cost of fuel was going to be at 12 kwacha. How much is it at now? 32 kwacha. Mr. Proud, is that an improvement in the cost of living, in the cost of fuel? He said minimum was going to be at 50 kwacha, from 112, 117 kwacha. Are you buying it at that price? No, Mr. Proud, you're not buying it at that price. In your transportation from garden to town, are you paying the same amount of 4 kwacha or 2 kwacha that you used to pay? No, you are not, Mr. Proud. The minimum that you used to buy, are you buying it at the same price? No, Mr. Proud. The issue of the dollar that was at 17 kwacha and was to be brought to 12 kwacha, are you getting it at 12 kwacha? No, Mr. Proud. It's 29 kwacha now. The issue of fertilizer distribution in the rural areas, are they getting 8, 12 pockets of fertilizer? No, Mr. Proud. They are sharing in medas. For seed, are they getting 2 bags of seed or 4 bags of seed? No, they are sharing in caps, Mr. Proud. That is not what was promised. That is not what was done. Shimpundu said, how are you going to win? 2.8 people voted for UPND. 2.8 people were duped into voting for UPND. I don't think they're still naive to be in a bubble to think that things are still okay. Possibly of that 2.8, you could be the only one, Washimagi, because I know even yourself, in your heart of hearts, even as you'll be voting on that day, the moment you get into that booth to vote, yes, some spirit, if not the Holy Spirit, will overcome you and you will not vote for Hakainde Hichilema, because that would be imprudent of you in view of all the lies that he has taught the country.
Let's quickly touch on the issue of the Constitution amendment.
Yes,
I think
yes.
this has also been an issue that most of our callers have been highlighting.
Yes.
So on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken, of last month, Minister of Justice, Princess Kasune, reviewed, gave government's position paper on the proposed constitutional reforms and even the roadmap. So about 13 clauses
Yes.
that are said to be non-contentious, with others saying they are contentious. I'm pretty sure at this point you already took a look at the 13 clauses that are being proposed.
Yes.
What's your overall analysis of those clauses? Are they
So,
non-contentious, as it is being said?
To start with, who decided that they were non-contentious? Because non-contentious, the determination over whether an issue is contentious or not means that it has to be subjected to scrutiny. You can't, as a government, sit and say, this is non-contentious, so we're giving it to you. No, you need to sit down with your opposition, sit with the church, sit with the CSOs, sit with the headmen, sit with the chiefs, sit with everyone that is concerned as regards the governance of this country, and say, what proposals are we making? Get proposals from every one of them. If every one of them says, this issue, we want this amended, and there's a common thread that everyone is saying that that should be amended, then you should. Then it becomes non-contentious. You can't on your own give us a paper and say, well, this is non-contentious. Who told you it's non-contentious? Where is this issue of saying it's non-contentious? Amongst yourselves, you have agreed. See, even the way this whole thing came up. The president says, by imposition, they start going to review the